Good evening, preppers. We've just finished watching the Tucker Carlson interview with Vladimir Putin. What an insight. Who'd have thought you'd get an interview with someone like that with the current situation? But here's my brief summary of it. So the interview goes on for 2 hours. I'll put a link in the description to it. Strongly recommend you watch it yourself. Was a great watch. I'm not going to put any of the footage on here, obviously, because, I mean, that's his exclusive right. He went and did that, so fair play to him. But going through the interview, I pulled out a few different points that were raised and what the answers were, just to see what you think of them. So one thing Putin said was that the West was trying to fuel Russian threat. When asked about the Russian invasion of Poland, he said it would only happen in one case, if Poland attacked Russia. He said a global war will bring humanity to the brink of destruction. Saying Russia will use nuclear weapons is their way of extorting more tax from taxpayers. So, he's basically said there that he's got the same belief that we all have when it comes to nuclear weapons, mutually assured destruction. So I know you've got to take everything with a pinch of salt that's said. What's said and what's done is two different things. But he's saying all the things that we think anyway. So is there really threat of them using nuclear weapons, or are they fully aware of what that means? He did, however, say also that Russia will fight for its interests to the end. But his interests, when it came to expansionism, things like that, he seemed to dismiss a lot of that. That is all propaganda. The only reason that the Ukraine war is happening, he goes into a lot of detail about the history of that and that he's liberating his own people and stuff like that. So I'd let you dig further into that, and I'm not going to go through. He did literally speak for 10, 20 minutes about the history of this whole situation. So it is interesting. Does it justify it? I don't think so. I don't think it justifies the war the way it's going. But is it all Russia's fault? I'm not so sure. I have a non-biased opinion on all these things. I don't like war, full stop. But there is interesting points there raised. When they also mentioned the Nord Stream, Tucker Carlson brought up the fact, he said basically, who blew up the Nord Stream? Putin joked and said, you did, it was you. And he said that he was busy that day. It was quite a funny little exchange there. Shows the human side, I suppose. But he did insinuate that the CIA blew up the Nord Stream. And not just they that think this, Germany knows this as well. So, yeah, that's interesting. So no evidence produced, of course, yet from anyone on that matter. But that's what he insinuated there. They spoke about the US dollar, basically saying that all the sanctions that USA do to other countries is not just sanctioning other countries, that it's also sanctioning their own economy. And they're cutting themselves off from supplies and stuff like that. There's a reason all our energy prices are going through the roof. He spoke of the deal with they've got a deal with China at the moment, and he spoke about that quite openly, saying that they've gained like 230 billion from this, and China's gained like 240, and mentioned that it's a very balanced, mutual beneficial agreement, not just trade, but like technology sharing, everything like that. So definitely relationship there, which I know a lot of people were worried about, especially when it comes to weapons development. So interesting that they can have that, and maybe that's what we all need across the world, which he goes into as well. When he asked about being re-establishing a positive relationship with the USA. He said it's not, and asked basically, Tucker Carlson said, if the current president left and a new one came in, would you be able to re-establish that connection? And he said it's not about who's in charge. He said he had a very good relationship with President Bush on a personal human level. It's not about the personality of the leader. It's about the elite's mindset. He said, we are willing to negotiate with the USA, and it is them who refuses to. We have never refused. So, interesting. But does everyone need a bad guy? Is Russia being labeled a bad guy, and now that's how they're going to stay? I don't know. On Zelensky, he said that he deceived his voters. He came into power with promises of peace, but realized that going against neo-Nazis was not beneficial, and the West will support anyone opposing Russia. And with Ukraine, he said Russia's never refused negotiations. It's Zelensky that made a decree saying they would not negotiate. For some reason, everyone had the illusion that Russia could be defeated on the battlefield because of arrogance. So there's a bit of posturing going on with that one. So interesting there. Had to have a little flex, I suppose, in there somewhere. He then went on and compared USA. Well, it seemed like he was comparing the USA to the Roman Empire, saying that the Roman Empire took centuries to collapse as barbarian hordes developed technology and size and stuff like that, and that eventually saw the downfall of the Roman Empire, but referring that to being the USA. But people, technology and things are developing a lot quicker than they did back then. So predicting a downfall of the USA, maybe. He asked him also about AI and Elon Musk and things like that. He compared AI to weapons development, which is quite interesting, like from the dawn of gunpowder all the way up to current. And as soon as a threat posed was a threat to humanity, like nuclear weapons and mutually assured destruction, then world leaders came together to make resolutions and stuff like that. And that's what will have to be done for AI as well. He ended it with asking him about Evan Gersowitz, the journalist that's been in prison for over a year there, and basically said, would you return him, to show a gesture of goodwill? With a bit of hesitation, he said, we've done so many gestures of goodwill, we've run out, and they are not reciprocated. He said, in theory we could, and special services are already discussing terms. I believe an agreement can be reached. He was receiving classified information covertly, and this is classed as espionage, and he was caught red-handed. It's not just like hearsay. But he did say special services are negotiating at the moment, and he did say, so let them do their jobs. And he added personally that he does want to see him return home, and he said he means that sincerely. They were the basic notes I took away from it. Now, he goes into a lot of history. He does have a bit of a laugh joke with the interviewer. So it's an interesting watch anyway, maybe seeing a different side of Putin that is not propaganda filled. But when watching it, I will say, take everything with a pinch of salt. He's not going to go on an interview program and say, yes, we're about to invade all the Bolshevik states and we're going to take over half the world, and Russia and China is going to be the new superpower of everything. He's not going to go on and say that, is he? So it could be deflecting, it could be sincere. Take it how you will. They were the key points I thought were worth mentioning. In my opinion, very interesting to see his human side. How much I believe, the proof's got to be in the pudding at the end of the day. But it is interesting that he's openly saying we're open to negotiations on USA relations, on trade relations, on the Ukraine war. There's basically, he's not left anything off the table that he said Russia is willing to negotiate. So who's stopping the negotiations? Is this a West-fueled thing? Interesting. Food for thought anyway. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you check the link in the description. Like I say, that will link you straight to the full interview, and go and give it a watch. And please, after you've watched it, come back onto this video and pop a comment in. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know key points for you. It'd be great to hear your feedback on it. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I will see you all in the next video.